Okay, so before we can start doing database searching for systematic reviews, we first need to develop a series of keywords that we can use to give us a more structured, reliable way of searching databases. So I have a research topic here, which is just a general research topic in the area of education. So it's looking at STEAM in early childhood, primary and secondary education. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this framework called the PO framework, and there's a number of these frameworks that are unique to systematic reviews, but PO is particularly useful for social sciences. So PO just stands for population, exposure and outcome, and we can adapt these to suit the needs of the research project we're doing. Now I'm going to get rid of the outcomes out of this because I'm not really going to follow through and actually do this research, so I'm just going to look at the population and then 3 different contexts or exposures that I'm going to search for information around. So that's my framework chosen, my table set up. So the next thing I need to do is I need to take the keywords from my research topic and I need to insert them into the table. So when I do that, I end up with a table that looks a little bit fuller. So I've broken up my population into my 3 distinct areas of the three sectors of education, and then I've just put in STEAM and then STEM and arts as another way to say STEAM. So that's fine, but it's just 5 words or phrases, and that's not really going to give me a comprehensive search of a database. I'm going to be missing, there'll be a lot of gaps in the research if I just have a small table like this. So I need to develop this more comprehensively. So the way I would do that is first we'd look at, well, what are the other synonyms that I can use? So instead of just early childhood education, I could also say early years. I have acronyms in my research topic, so STEAM is obviously an acronym. So I could break that down into its individual words and develop keyword searches in that manner. I can look at variations of spellings between, say, if I'm looking for international research, well, how is this spelled in the United States versus Europe versus Britain and so on. And then we can look at things like plurals, and importantly, the last one, terminology peculiar to a country. So we know secondary school, maybe the way we describe secondary education in Ireland, but they may use middle school or high school in North America. So we need to take those into consideration as well. So when I do apply this kind of thinking to my table, you'll see I develop a much more robust, a much more dynamic set of words that I can use. So I'm just developing out early childhood, early years, preschool and kindergarten. I'm doing the same thing with primary and secondary education. I'm conscious that if I just search for STEAM, I'm going to get STEAM education, but I'm also going to get just articles about STEAM in general, and not STEAM education, but STEAM as a form of energy or something like that. So I want to just develop that a little bit more and say STEAM education, STEAM teaching, STEAM learning, and then I'll focus on the arts here. So I could actually break the arts down into drama, music, performing arts and visual arts. And I have my acronym of STEM, so science, technology, engineering and maths. So I've broken that down as well. So I have my arts here broken down over here, and I have my STEAM acronym also broken down along with the STEM acronym. So I've just developed a more comprehensive set of words that would actually give me more detailed results now. But there is just a couple more steps that we need to follow, because we can also apply search syntax into our keywords table. So we have booleans, phrases, truncation, wildcards and parentheses. Now I'll focus in this section on just phrases, truncation and wildcards, and we'll come back to looking at booleans and parentheses when we're actually doing some searching. But phrases, so if I just search for primary school without the quotation marks, it will give me loads of results because it breaks the phrase into individual words and it searches then for the individual words. So wrapping it in a phrase means it's going to give me an exact phrase match for my search. Truncation allows me to broaden out searches and to incorporate multi-word form searches into my table. So instead of just educate, I can search for edu asterisk and that gives me educate, education, educational, and all of the other word forms of that. And then wildcards allow me to account for varied spellings of words. So organization could be spelled with a Z or an S, and we'll see that in practice then when I scroll down to look at my table now. So I've wrapped my phrases in quotation marks. I've used the asterisks to get different word forms, and I've used the question mark to account for different kinds of spellings of preschool, high school, and post-primary, which could either have a hyphen, a space, or could just be one word in these search engines. And of course, I've also looked at math, which could be math, maths, or mathematics. So we're developing much more dynamic keywords by just applying some of the search syntax into my table as well. And then there's one more step I can follow. I still have this exposure column empty, and the next step then really is to go and look at some articles, to look at subject headings, to look at author keywords in articles, just to see if any other words are cropping up in those articles. And I can develop this column as well as I continue to do my searching right the way throughout the search process. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto a database. I've already done a search, and I'll show you how to find the right databases in a section shortly in this video tutorial. But initially, I've just done a search for STEAM education inside this database called Education Source. And what I'm going to do is just click into the articles. Okay, and all I want to do is look at the subjects of the articles. So for example, I could say, art education. That's actually a relevant search phrase for me. So I could go and pop that into my keyword table. If I go to the next article, I can just, again, analyze the subjects, and I can analyze the author supplied keywords. And I wouldn't do that for like 100 articles, but you could just keep an eye on those as you're searching. I'd maybe do like, maybe 10 or 20 initially. And then as you're searching, if you're seeing other words come up frequently in the subjects or the author supplied words, you can add them into your table at that point. So if I go back to my Word document, once I add in my extra words, so I've just added in arts integration for here. Okay, so this is just a kind of small research project that we're doing. So I now have a completed table, and it allows me to go and run structured, systematic searches through the databases, and then more easily document my results because it's now structured and it's now systematic. So in the next section then we look at how to choose a database and how to set ourselves up on a database.